Over 700 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces while trying to access food in Gaza. That's according to the territory's health ministry, which reports at least 743 deaths and nearly 5,000 injuries near food distribution points run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, an aid program supported by the U.S. and Israel. Eyewitnesses and journalists, United Nations and American contractors have described scenes of chaos and live fire used against starving civilians.
On who is responsible, it is clear that the Israeli military has shelled and shot at Palestinians trying to reach the distribution points. How many killings, who is responsible for that, we need an investigation.
Amnesty International and other rights groups have condemned the aid scheme as a militarized trap. Despite mounting criticism, the U.S. has defended the program and pledged $30 million in new funding. But families continue to face deadly risks for basic necessities. In a potential breakthrough, Hamas says it has responded positively to a U.S.-backed ceasefire framework. The deal proposes a 60-day truce, an exchange of captives, and increased aid flows into Gaza. Israel is said to have accepted the broad terms, though Prime Minister Netanyahu hasn't made a public statement. Hamas is seeking guarantees that the truce will lead to a permanent end to Israeli attacks after a previous pause ended with over 400 Palestinians killed in just one day. Meanwhile, Israel carried out multiple drone strikes on southern Lebanon this weekend, killing one and several injured. Attacks were reported in Jabal, Sheba, and Shakra, including one strike on a civilian vehicle. Lebanon's health ministry says nearly 250 people have been killed in Israeli strikes since the November ceasefire. Most of the attacks hit Hezbollah-controlled areas, but civilians are often caught in the crossfire. Israel claims it's targeting military sites, but Lebanese President Joseph Aoun says disarming Hezbollah under fire is not realistic. Hezbollah, meanwhile, has rejected a U.S. plan to disarm by November, calling it suicidal. U.S. President Donald Trump has doubled down on Iran, saying he won't allow Tehran to restart its nuclear program. Speaking aboard Air Force One, Trump said Iran's nuclear sites had been set back permanently by recent U.S. and Israeli airstrikes, but warned that if they did start again, it would be a problem. Trump added that Iranian officials want to meet him, but inspections remain off the table, and the IAEA inspectors have been pulled out.
Iran, obviously, the success, it was a great success, and blown to pieces, the whole nuclear thing. I would say it's set back permanently. If they were to do it again, they might as well start in a different location because that location is totally demolished.
This follows joint strikes that hit 3 of Iran's uranium enrichment sites, escalating tension. Iran says it is still part of the Non-Proliferation Treaty but has suspended cooperation with the IAEA. The agency says it has no access to sites or data, and it's unclear what's happening to over 400 kg of 60% enriched uranium, material one step away from weapons grade. Following the strikes, Iran's Parliament and Guardian Council approved a bill to cut all cooperation with IAEA, citing national security. Iran accuses the agency of bias, especially after it passed a resolution criticizing Tehran just one day before the attacks. The head of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, has urged diplomacy and access, but Iran's foreign minister has called these demands meaningless, given the bombings. Pakistan observed the 9th of Muharram on Saturday with large processions held under tight security, especially in Karachi, Saqqar, and Peshawar. In Karachi, over 7,500 police personnel, snipers, and rangers were deployed. Cellular services were suspended along key routes. Mayor Murtaza Wahab and Home Minister Zia Lanjar oversaw arrangements while cleanliness and lighting were ensured. Nationwide, more than 27,000 processions were held, with Saqqar hosting the largest one. In Peshawar, over 10,000 personnel guarded 115 processions across 14 sensitive districts. The army remains on standby. In economic news, Pakistan's central government debt has ballooned to over 76 trillion rupees, according to the fresh data released by the State Bank of Pakistan. Compared to May last year, debt levels have jumped by 12%, adding 8.3 trillion rupees to the burden. Domestic debt stands at over rupees 53 trillion, up nearly 16%, while external debt has crossed 22.5 trillion rupees. The growth is being fueled by a shift towards long-term borrowing. Pakistan investment bonds, or PIBs, now contribute over 37 trillion rupees to the total debt, up from rupees 27 trillion a year ago. Meanwhile, short-term treasury bill use has declined. Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb has said government saved rupees 850 billion through refinancing, but the numbers tell a story of a growing debt trap, even as inflation and borrowing costs remain high. Meanwhile, in Karachi, a 5-story residential building had collapsed in Liari area on Friday, killing at least 16 people, including 6 women and a child. The structure had been declared unsafe back in 2022, but some residents claimed they never received eviction notices. Rescue efforts were hampered by narrow streets, mobile network outages, and crowd control issues, but up to 100 people believed to have been living in the building. Officials say over 50 buildings in the district remain unsafe. The Sindh government has suspended SBCA officials and launched an inquiry, while MQM opposition slammed the PPP-led administration for years of neglect and mismanagement. Up north, armed militants attacked a jirga in Banu's Mandikhel area on Saturday, killing 1 and injuring 3 others, including a police officer. Police say the attackers tried to abduct a tribal leader, leading to a shootout with participants. Banu has seen repeated militant attacks, including a major suicide bomb in March and failed assault on police lines last October. Devastating flash floods have swept through central Texas, killing at least 24 people and leaving dozens missing, many of them children at a summer camp. Torrential rains triggered rapid flooding along the Guadalupe River, surging 26 feet in just 45 minutes before dawn on Friday. Among the hardest hit, Camp Mystic, an all-girls Christian summer camp where 23 to 25 girls were still unaccounted for. Texas authorities say over 700 campers were present when the floodwaters struck. Helicopters and drones were deployed overnight to rescue the stranded and search for the missing. At least 167 aerial rescues have been confirmed so far. Videos circulating online show homes, trees, and vehicles being swept away, with officials warning the death toll may rise further as floodwaters recede. Flash flood warnings remain in effect with more heavy rain forecast for the weekend. Authorities are now facing scrutiny over whether enough warning was given.
On a day which is usually for celebration, it's a very tough day in Texas. We had a disastrous flash flood that hit somewhere around 4 in the morning. The rain came down 12 inches or more per hour. That river rose 26 feet in 45 minutes.
AccuWeather and the U.S. National Weather Service both say alerts were issued several hours before the flood hit, but local officials insist there was little to no time to evacuate. The flooding has left entire areas without power, water, or communications. One 13-year-old camper described the moment helicopters landed to begin evacuations. It was really scary. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has declared a state of emergency, while President Trump called the scenes shocking.
Oh, that's terrible. The floods. It's shocking. They don't know the answer yet as to how many people, but it looks like some young people have died. Any federal aid for them? Oh yeah, sure. We'll take care of it. We're working with the governor. It's a terrible thing.